Aloha, everyone. Today is September 12th, and you have just joined us for our Leveraging Up business call. We're excited to have you all here. And for those of you who have joined us for the first time, we do have we had an opportunity for you to get a gift from us. And if you need the link to get your personality assessed, go ahead and just let us know and we'll put it in the chat box. But let's get started, because today what we'd like to do is open it up for some business challenges. You know, we learned how to use personas in our day-to-day lives. What we'd like to do is take a different perspective now and take a look at what are some of the challenges that you might be having. And then we'll take a look at what kind of solutions we can actually begin to share with you, so you can take your business to that next level. Anybody want to share? What is a challenge that you have come across that you would like to share? There you go. Mac is at Action Blueprint Knowledge Nurturing. Hi, Les. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mac, you want to come on out, ask a question? Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, you know, there's always challenges, but I don't look at them as obstacles. In that, you know, something comes up, you say, okay, I got to deal with that. And, you know, it's, my hair is too long. I got to go get a haircut. You know, all those important things in life. I think that one of the advantages that we have is that we're in a group that I think most of us feel very similarly, in that we know things are going to pop up, and we have enough resources that if we can't figure out the answer ourselves, there's somebody out there that we can go to. And it's one of the things I love about being involved with everybody.
I love it. Did you just freeze, Mac?
No, I just didn't move.
You
That's my excuse, that I'm sticking to it.
I love it. I love it. You know, Mac, it's amazing because the community that we are building here with Achieve is priceless.
Yeah.
And as we begin to interact even more, this is where, like Eric and I, we really love knowing that when we walk into a room, we know not how to change, okay, guys, not how to change, but how to shift. And we were just on another call. I would say we're on another call because we are getting set for Denver Startup Week. And we had a question where someone had brought up that they had been working on a client for several years now, and that they were not sure, you know, why they haven't been able to close that business. And what we did was we helped them take a look at some of the personalities that were involved. And it was amazing, because by the time they started their meeting on their next round, they said that that meeting went really well because of some of the tips that we gave them to shift, because the personalities were completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, you can actually make the shift. Come on out, Mac.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the Startup Week? You are the third person this week that has mentioned it. I am not familiar with it. It's next week, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I was on the phone with the founder of a tech company here in Denver that I had literally met on a cold call, and he and I had a great conversation. I think he's coming to conference. Then I was on a call with Love World Connect, who I think most of you know, Bobby Love. He brought it up. Now you brought it up. Can you tell me a little bit about it and how we access it?
I'm gonna let Doc Eric talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I just put in the chat two things. So the main link is the denverstartupweek.org. And then do you see a PDF document? Did that come across? I tried to attach it.
Looks like it,
Yes,
yes.
Okay. So we're involved. Mimi and I think we had two presentations that were accepted last year. This year we've got several others and collaborative, some with Mimi, some that I'm doing with another individual with an AI company I have, and then some other things. I'm on the board of a company that helps executives in transition and career connection type stuff. So I've got a total of 8 different presentations all at one venue that we'll be presenting. So that PDF has a link to that. But it's going to be interesting this year. Historically, this is the world's largest free entrepreneurial event. Last year, there was north of 10 to maybe 12,000 people
Wow.
that were involved. I can tell you, this year it's a big deal. They changed the format though, which I think put a little bit of a wrinkle in probably some of what we'll see in terms of attendance and everything else. But it's a pretty amazing event. Like I know I've got, and I think you might still be able to get, there's a limited number of seats. Like Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, is speaking. Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, is going to be speaking at it. I mean, it's a lot of who's who that are there at these different sessions. And there's literally hundreds of different things going on all week. It was a 5-day event historically. This year, they're really concentrating it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's a little bit of stuff going on Monday through Friday, but in terms of connecting with people, and there's everything from historically, there's been a pretty heavy tech influence, but there's all sorts of businesses. There's people that have, startups and there's companies that are in series fundraising. I'm on a panel with a VC, a hedge fund guy. And so there's all sorts of different people, a lot of investors there, but there's companies that are everything from the small mom and pop to the, multi-million dollar or $50, $100 million raise things going on. There's pitch fests that are really cool to see if you haven't been to a pitch fest with companies that are looking for investors and things like that as well. But a lot of tactical business things, but it's really about creating, growing your business and different sessions, all different types of topics. But they're all free, which is unbelievable
And
because there's
it's
some
a
really
trade show type of format.
no.
How
Last
do
year
you meet
there was a couple
people?
of
How do you know
venues.
who you meet?
Well, so you'll meet all sorts of different people. There's only a couple venues. I don't know this year because, like I said, they have changed it significantly. There's a couple probably central areas in the past where there were a few vendors, but primarily the big sponsors of the event, the companies that have provided that. But it's really distributed all around the Denver metro area. This year even more so. Last year they had a few select locations that everything was at. There was like a maybe 12 to 15. This year there's a lot more varied locations that things are happening at. The events that we're participating in are being hosted and sort of co-sponsored by CBRE, which is the world's largest commercial realty company, real estate, and BMO, Bank of Montreal, is another sponsor. And there's some other vendors, sort of vendor light, that will be in the room that we're presenting at, just with some information there. But for the most part, mostly it's not like a trade show. It's just a lot of education, information, and different sessions, but a lot of good connections. And then there's some amazing evening events every night, pretty much, like different things going on, like happy hours. And a lot of them are sponsored, or sometimes the pitch things are in the evening as well. And that's really what it is. And a lot of cities have these startup events, but Denver, anyways.
What's interesting, you mentioned that you were doing an event. I thought it was something you and Mamie were doing when you mentioned it a couple weeks ago. And my thought process was that's when Anthony has his new connect and collaborate. Why are they doing something at the same time? Well, now I understand why you're doing it at the same time.
Yeah, and this,
Like me,
right.
I'm driving from Evergreen. Can I stop in Denver?
I know.
Springs, come back.
I
Grace
would,
wants me to come down to Pueblo. It's like, okay, what am I doing here?
it's tough. But if you're in the area and there's people that come from outside the US for this event, it's that, it's a pretty big deal. So at any rate, but yeah,
I
and
don't
with
want to
this
take
event
away
had
from
been
your time, but I
scheduled.
will try to show up
Yeah, that's great. And
Tuesday or
this,
Thursday. Yeah.
that sounds good. Yeah, and I won't be at Anthony's event, unfortunately, because I'm got previous commitments because this has been scheduled for a lot longer than his event. So
And that actually what happens is we get so many things, and I tell people, you want me to do something, you better get it on my calendar 60 to 90 days in advance. It's the
yeah,
only way I can guarantee it. And
right.
that I'm supposed to go to something tonight, and I had a Zoom scheduled with my grandson who lives in California. I had to get him to change the time, and that because John McCaskill's thing popped up for me. So
Mhm.
thank you. I'm sorry to take up your time.
No, it's all good. It hopefully was helpful for others as well, and definitely something to look at. And encourage you, wherever you're located, to look at these types of events because they're always pretty um, amazing networking opportunities, put it that way, and educational opportunities. So, thanks for asking. Other challenges, things, insights based on what we talked about last time.
Hey, Eric, I have sort of a random question that someone may or may not have an answer to. But
Sure.
with Sales Navigator, when you create a list of, is there a way to export it? Years ago, you used to be able to export it, but as far as I know, you can no longer export the list. And I'm not a LinkedIn expert, so I'm just going to ask that question.
Let me just double check something real quick. I do not personally. Does anyone on the call use Sales Navigator? Anybody that's got that? All right, let me just see something. I mean, I know there's another tool, and that's what I had shared. You may have seen the list I shared for this other thing we're working on. That was through a third-party tool. But I think that in terms of exporting it, they don't have any direct thing. I mean, the only thing you could do would be to copy and paste manually, which would be a pain in the you know what. But there's a number of tools. I mean, obviously, Zoom Info is a big one, things like that. Duck Soup, I don't know if they're still around, but there's a lot of those types of tools that can help you basically scrape the data. And there's some things that there's some LinkedIn browser or a Chrome extension browsers that will let you sort of also pull stuff in, but we can connect offline on that. But yeah, there's not any direct way of doing it. I'll double check. I've got one of the top 10 LinkedIn people in Denver that I just talked to her actually. Is it this week? Well, regardless, in the last couple of days, I talked to her. Maybe it was late last week, but I can ask her. She would definitely know. And in fact, if there's anybody that really wants to do a deeper dive in LinkedIn, she does I think it's probably like a 12-week program. It's pretty amazing. I've gone through it, all about LinkedIn and, walking you through from the basics of creating your profile or whatever. Feel free to reach out to me. I think it actually starts next week. I'm pretty sure she's starting another 12-week cycle. So good question. Other questions that people have or?
Actually, Jeff had a comment. Jeff said that his blueprint knowledge approach allows him to provide great assistance, savings, and education to effectively help nurturing and action-driven prospects. So, Jeff, do you notice if most of your clients, what codes are you working with?
The majority of the codes I work with effectively are the action people. They immediately want the assistance that I can provide. I handle things in such a customer service driven way that allows me to help the nurturing people. So they're the easiest people to deal with. Now the other blueprint people, we just knock heads all the time about, are my numbers the way they're supposed to be to match up to the numbers they want. So it's all good.
That's the details. That's the details that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So great job. Great job. For a lot of businesses, I want you to know this. There are two personalities that will purchase from you quickly. The first is action. And that action personality, I see Mac, he's smiling over there. The action personalities, they buy quick because when they see an opportunity, they'll say yes without even knowing the details.
Hasn't bought quick enough for me yet, but I'm still working on it.
And what you want to keep in mind is this: when you hear a person say, "Phyllis, sign me up, I'm in," what do you think happens with some of our business owners? Do they just pull the contract out and have them sign it? Or they just keep going wonk, 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 wonk? Well, that's a big no-no for action. So if you really want to turn a yes into a no, keep talking when someone said, "Okay, I'm all in, let's do it."
The pen and walk away. Let's go.
Yep. Take the autograph and walk away. Okay. That is one of the best tips I can give you on selling to an action personality, because all they want is that bottom line, and then they'll figure it out along the way. Now, this is the caution. Because they make decisions so quickly, they're also the ones who may get buyer's remorse because they didn't get all the information to say
Exactly.
yes
Exactly.
before getting what they needed. Okay. Another tip is this: for the nurturing personalities, they buy quick, not because of the money situations you're going to talk about. They will buy because they know, like, and trust you. Okay. And those are the one, our nurturing personalities are the ones that lead with their heart. And when they like what you do and you earn that right, they will tell all of their friends. And so don't be afraid to ask for referrals. Don't be afraid to ask for referrals. Okay. The ones who will not engage quickly is our blueprints, Jeff, because you need to have everything in order. You need to have the process. You need to have all of that in place before you say yes. Okay. And then our knowledge, they are the only people who will tell you the truth when they say, "You know what, I need to think about this." Because they do need to think about it. They need to process. Okay. So those are a little bit of tips that you could keep in mind when you are sitting across the table from different personalities. And there's other things that you can keep in mind, but those are some of the real simple things that you can be watching for to open up those conversations. Okay. So great job. Come on out, Mac.
It's funny when you were talking about the blueprint personality. Back in the late 70s, I sold life insurance. And the first cold lead I had was with an engineer. And his name was John Why Not? Which cracks me up 50 years later. But he wanted to know how the actuary tables worked. And I said, why would you want to know that? It just does. Buy the damn policy, But it's so true that people that are technical and they want to know how things, how the current goes through an electronic device to the left or to the right and why it does that. And it's like, I don't know that stuff. I'll put you with somebody that does.
Mac, you are dealing also too, if you're dealing with veterans, they have been accustomed to the blueprint way of doing things, yeah, with the military. And so keeping that in mind, you are one of the very few that come in as a high action. Your blueprint secondary, right? Keeping that in mind when you are setting out programs for a military, keep that in mind. And this is where transition programs, and I'm hoping that's what you are looking at soon, because I would love to join you on a transition program to literally help them get reacclimated to the not so blueprint world that they're walking back into. Yeah.
I've had several conversations. I have a gentleman that if he pulls the trigger about come out, he works at the Pentagon right now. Been in the Army for 25 years, and he's already looking at transitioning if he makes it to his 30 years or if he leaves early. A lot of people, and why we started the group is a lot of people thought they were going to do their full time for retirement. And because of what's going on in the world and the country, they're saying, I don't want to do this for another 5 years or another 10 years. I'm going to go do something on my own. So this gentleman, I've already put him in touch with Jason, and Jason and he had a conversation. But I see a lot of these people. I was on a call with a guy a little bit ago that was very similar, that I've known him for 18 years. He was in the photo industry. He's now doing speaking. He is signed up for conference, but I didn't know he used to work at the White House as a communication specialist. So these are the types of people that are coming out because we're trying to start this veterans group. So
Awesome.
it's very interesting to me, who that actually is. I thought, okay, it's going to be the gunnery sergeant. It's going to be the captain, if you were in the officer ranks, it wasn't going to be about the generals, but it's actually, it's the sergeant majors and it's the colonels and the generals that are reaching out. How do I do something to have a life after I retire, whether 20 or 30 years?
Mm-hmm. So imagine that, Frank, Mac. I look at Les's information in the chat box. And if you even take a look at the notes that are being put into the chat box, personalities are already showing up. Okay. A picture is worth 1,000 words. That's Mac there. Les, yours is total action. Yours is a total action languaging that you just used for us. From an action perspective, they would say guaranteed $3,000 in the next 90 days. I'm in, Les. Tell me what I need to do. Okay.
Mhm.
Whereas if you take a look at Jeff, these are clues, guys. Take a look at Jeff. Jeff gave you all the details that you'll need and all the options that you potentially can use to work directly with him. So these are some of the things that I want you to start noticing about people and how you can determine, how do you shift the languaging? How do you shift the languaging? How do you do customer service so that you're showing up matching? You've heard this before, I think, because this is what's taught in sales, mirror and match. We mirror and match, right? When you mirror and match. Now, mirror and matching, awesome when you're doing non-verbal communication, but the mirror and matching needs to also be applied to the languaging that you're hearing. So if you're hearing that, excited tonality, when you hear that, your energy needs to come up also. because the actions are waiting for that to happen, because it's an energy to energy for the action. With the way you put that in there, Les, $3,000, I was scrolling down, that caught my eye really quickly. Okay, so keep that in mind when you've got energetic people in the room with you, and that's when you start matching. Then you take a look at Mac's background. That's his brand now. I guarantee you that is not a blueprint. It's not a blueprint, right? And then take a look at Jeff. Jeff is blueprint knowledge. Okay. Money, though, attracts action. Okay. However, if you take a look at Jeff's background, here's a clue. It's very balanced. He's got a picture on one side, a picture on another side. Then he's got his money scattered. Pretty organized, guys. It's a pretty organized. Those are little clues that you might want to keep in mind when you walk into an environment. When you walk into an environment. You know, if you'd like, at the bottom of the hour, we're going to have other people joining in, and we're going to be going through some social media clues. So if you don't have to rush off to any place else, we're going to be using social media. And how do you use values-based personas, and what to expect in each of those personalities when you are dealing with them via Facebook or in person or at LinkedIn. Okay. And then the other thing that we've offered before is that if you'd like, we can run your LinkedIn profile through a extension to give you what the public is seeing. And what we mean by that is this. If you tell me that you are a BKNA, we can run your LinkedIn profile and find out if what you are client facing is truly looking at BKNA. Okay. And then we can actually help you let you know how you can shift for some of the languaging on your LinkedIn to either match the code you're looking for or match the code that is truly yours, because you may be representing in the language side very differently than what you want them to pick up for you. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions to leverage up your business? Okay. Well, we're going to be on because we're going to be transitioning from this call on the same Zoom for anybody else coming on in. So if you'd like to stick around, awesome. But if you've got other appointments, then we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Thanks,
And Phyllis,
everybody.
I just want you to know I love babies. I saw it. I saw you.
My husband took her for a walk, so I helped my daughters out. But I put it in the